fundamental gross motor skills with children much younger than we're doing. That really we should be starting at 2 or 3, you know, if we were doing that, if we were providing preschools with a PE teacher, or if we were providing proper training in motor skill development for preschool teachers, then we might start to see more engagement in physical activity and more excitement about going to a PE class or joining an after-school movement club of some kind, okay? Because it's really a small minority of parents and children that engage. If you were here on campus, then at midterm we would be moving over to the playground at the Child Development Center on campus and working with the preschoolers there so that you could see some of what I'm going to be telling you about across the semester for yourself, okay? One thing I want to introduce you to is a booklet that is printed by the National Association for Sport and Physical Education, NASPE. NASPE is one of the units under the SHAPE America, Society for Health and Physical Education America, which is the big PE teacher type association. Also works with outdoor recreation, dance teachers, and all kinds. So that's always a good resource to go to, and you can join and become a member of SHAPE, but they do have quite a lot of free resources at their website if you're going to work with school-age children. So this booklet, I don't know if you can see it, it's called Active Start, and it is a statement of physical activity guidelines for children from birth to 5 years old. Okay? So they actually have guidelines for what infants should be doing, what toddlers should be doing, and what preschoolers should be doing. So we're going to take a little look at the preschool section because, as I said, if you had been here, that would have been the population that you would be working with. And, you know, you never know, you might be able to volunteer your help at a preschool in the town where you live sometime and provide some motor skill instruction for the children there. You never know. You might find that to be a fun way of getting some community service where you live. Okay, so let me go over here, share files. Okay. All right, so many people, when you say, oh yes, I work on motor skills with preschoolers, they go, why? Okay. Why would you do that? Because preschoolers run around and are crazy and have piles of energy and they do all this stuff all day, and so why would you need to go and actually work with them? Okay. Well, there's several reasons. One is that the research on children who attend daycare of some description indicates that about 80% of their day is spent in sedentary activities. So if they're on the playground, they're sitting in the sand making mud pies or whatever. If they're in the classroom, they're sitting in the reading corner, or they're sitting at a table learning to thread beads, or they're sitting at a table working on their alphabet, or they're sitting at a table, whatever, or they're standing at the sandbox or the water box, or they're standing at the easel, right? So there's, you know, we think about the fact that they're very active, but they're really not, according to the research, okay? The other problem we have is that, very sadly, even at the preschool age, we're seeing an increase in overweight and obesity in that population across the country. Poorer, lower socioeconomic environments have a worse problem, but, you know, I mean, we really, I get up on my soapbox a little bit here because a preschooler doesn't go shopping for food, right? A preschooler doesn't make dinner or breakfast or lunch. So I get really passionate about the fact that this overweight obesity issue in a preschooler is being caused by adults, right? We're doing it, the parents are doing it, the teachers are doing it, right? We're not feeding them properly. We're not giving them the space to be physically active, right? So I think that that's abhorrent. I mean, it's just, it's unspeakable to me that you could allow a 3, 4, 5-year-old to become obese. Your child, or a child in your classroom, and you don't speak up to the parents, right? I think it's just, it's horrible. So we're seeing some pretty young children, certainly by the age of 10, we're starting to see hardening of the arteries around the heart. We're getting younger and younger children are developing type 2 diabetes, which used to be called an adult onset disease because you never saw it in children. It only ever occurred in adults. And another thing that the research indicates to us, and we're learning more and more about this now, so as we go through the semester, I'll give you some more information along these lines. What we know is that children who are inactive become adults who are inactive. And there are multiple reasons for that, one of which is the fact that they don't have the skill set to enjoy moving when they are adults, right? Because we didn't teach it to them when they were younger. So, some of the guidelines I'm going to show you are very relevant to us. Like, these are things we can actually take charge of. Some of them are not, but they're interesting to know, particularly if you plan on being a parent, right? Because if I was a parent, I would want to know what the quality of the childcare I was thinking of using, how it met guidelines for all these different health outcomes, right? So the first guideline is that preschoolers, so we're looking at children who are like 3 1/4 to somewhere between 5 and 5 1/2, and depending on where their birthday falls in the year, then they move up to kindergarten, okay? So children of that age should be getting at least 60 minutes a day of planned physical play. So this is not open the back doors, let the kids out to play, add up your 60 minutes during the day and they've met this guideline, right? This is not autonomous play. This is planned physical play. That means there has to be an adult involved, right? That someone is planning activities to get these children physically active for a minimum of 60 minutes every day, right? So you wouldn't do a 60-minute session with a preschooler, right? But you could do 4 lots of 15 minutes or 3 lots of 20 minutes throughout the day, okay? So, when the play is planned by an adult who knows what they're doing, right? That means that we're going to introduce multiple different locomotor skills, object control skills. We're going to give them lots of time to explore the equipment. You know, we talked a little bit about how their idea of how to use the equipment can be different to what you expected. But the key is to get them engaged and interested, and then you can start saying, oh, well, why don't we try using the hockey stick like this instead and hit a ball, right? We have to use developmentally appropriate equipment, and some of what makes it developmentally appropriate is the idea we were talking about yesterday about body scaling, all right? I don't give full-size tennis rackets to a 3-year-old, right? I get a little foam paddle and I give them a little foam paddle, okay? And a real biggie that it's interesting to watch the HPE students struggle with is that games that we use with this age group need to be non-competitive. Up until just, depending on how developmentally advanced they are cognitively, what you'll find on a preschool playground is that the children who are just about to go to kindergarten are starting to introduce competition on their own, right? They'll make things competitive, however hard you try to stop them being competitive, okay? But 3-year-olds don't want to be competitive. They may not even want to play with each other, right? Depends on where their play development has got to. What we want to do is develop stations for practicing skills that are non-competitive, that promote skill development. So I have a great big throwing target that's got brightly colored numbers and things on it, right? I have all kinds of things to put on the floor for the kids to jump on or around or over. So can we set up activities that will enable them to be successful, right? Because it comes back to nobody does things they don't like, that they're not successful at, unless we absolutely have to, right? So if I set up something that a child cannot achieve, it has to be challenging. So there's a difference between making it easy and making it challenging. It needs to be challenging because they enjoy a challenge. But it can't be impossible to achieve because they've got the whole playground. If I make it impossible to achieve, they look at it and they go, well, I'm not doing that. And they walk away and they sit in the sand instead of being active. So it's very important, and the problem with it being competitive is they recognize that they're not winning, right? And not winning isn't fun because our society places so much emphasis on winning. Even by 4, you know, some of the 4-year-olds go and play, I mean, I guess not now, but typically there's a little soccer team that meets and plays with the children. And then they play games at the weekend. And on Monday they come onto the playground and they're like, Dr. Wall, we won! I'm like, oh my God, you're 4. It's really sad that they care about winning, right? So That is difficult to do because most of you are athletes or were athletes, and being competitive is part of your makeup. That's why you were an athlete, right? Super important though. So this is some of the things we can do for planned physical play. Soft play, so kind of blocks and arches and things like that they can roll over or fall on. Stilt cups are great for balance and for strength and for coordination. Wobble boards, climbing ropes, carts that they can drag each other around in means that the child that's sitting in the cart is being sedentary, but they have to take turns, right? So, you know, it's hard work pulling the cart. Now I get to sit down and you pull the cart. Okay? Bouncy balls, dancing, aerobics, yoga, any kind of stretching, warm-up type exercises we can do with them. Actually, you know, one of the things we could do, Ryan, is take the camera over and pull out some of the toys and at least show them the kinds of toys that we've got in the shed, maybe. Keep that in mind. That might be something we could do. Okay. So, guideline number 2 adds another minimum of 60 minutes that is unplanned physical activity or free play. Okay. Now, you have to be a little bit careful with the free play because often they will choose to be sedentary. And it's free play, it's their time to be autonomous. And that's one of the problems that I find with the trained preschool teachers, the early childhood teachers, is it's like the Bible that you do not interfere with a child's free play, that they get to decide what they want to do, unless they're being aggressive or hurting another child or something like that, right? So, one of the things you can do is at least provide the toys, right? Don't leave the playground bare during free play. Make sure that there are plenty of balls, plenty of hoops, plenty of stilt cups, whatever. Throw them out all over the playground. And what often will happen is because the toys are there and because they know how to use the toys from their planned play, they'll go and start playing with them of their own free will. So preschoolers shouldn't be sedentary for more than 60 minutes at any one time unless they're asleep. So again, the 3-year-olds and even some of the 4-year-olds still lie down in the afternoon for a nap. So, you know, you may be thinking, well, hold on a minute, that's 2 hours plus a day that they're going to be outside or in a big space inside doing movement skills, right? What about reading, math, art, fine motor skills, all the other things that they have to learn at preschool, okay? One of the brilliant things about movement and motor skills is that you can, if you're creative enough, you can teach anything in a motor skill environment that a classroom teacher can teach in class, right? I'm not very creative. I would really struggle with that with like middle school children, but a lot of people don't. A really good PE teacher knows how to build curriculum from the classroom into her PE class. With the preschoolers, we do numbers, we do colors, we do shapes, we do orientation, we do spatial concepts, over, under, through, right? But you could do geography, you could do history, you could do English, we do letters. I have beanbags that have letters on. I have beanbags with fruits and vegetables so that we can do nutrition work on the playground, right? You can get beanbags that have the words in English and the words in Spanish. So that's great if you're in this part of the country, right? So for the teachers and the parents to say, no, we can't allow that much time because it takes away from what they have to learn to pass their kindergarten exam. Duh. Why would you have a kindergarten exam? Anyway, right? Then it doesn't have to take away. It means collaborate, right? Find out what usually in a preschool curriculum they'll have a theme for the week or for the month, right? Find out what the theme is and build it in to the planned physical play session, right? To PE. So just some examples of the non-planned idea. You want to encourage exploration of play structures and equipment. So, you want to make sure there are things on the playground for them to explore. You want to make sure there are toys, scarves, things out there that they can use the motor skill equipment to start to tell a story that is their free play, right? They'll do that. They'll tie the scarf around their neck or onto their hair and they'll pretend to be the princesses from Frozen. Well, those princesses are pretty active, so that gets them going. They don't sit down when they're the princesses from Frozen, right? Guideline number 3. Develop competence in movement skills that are building blocks for more complex movement tasks. So when we start to look at locomotor skills, we will see that I have to walk, then I run, then I hop, then I skip, right? I can't skip if I can't hop, because skipping is step, hop, hop. Right? So if I can't hop, I can't skip well, properly, right? So we want to build this foundation of fundamental motor skills that then allows them to start building more and more skill set on top of that. So we don't have any control over this guideline, but it is one that I think you want to pay attention to as a parent. There should be indoor and outdoor areas that meet or exceed recommended safety standards for performing large muscle activities. So we're very lucky at the CDC, we have a huge outdoor space. The indoor space is a little bit tighter. Right? But I'm just trying to see if I can find what do they give me the amount? Okay, yes, here we go. So, a minimum of 75 square feet of accessible outdoor play space is required for each preschooler. 75 square feet per child on the playground that's accessible, right? So that's a pretty big playground. It also means you can't stuff the playground full of swing sets, right? Or little stationary cars that the kids can sit in. Okay? There has to be room for them to run and be crazy. Does it say what the indoor space is? Oh yes, indoor space. Each child, ideally, each child should have at least 5 by 7, so that's 30 square feet for structured movement and activities. That's a lot of space. Most centers have to move desks and bookcases and things away to create that kind of space to do indoor work. Right? To say, you know, when we go in there to help with their motor skills, we can't control this. But I think that if I was a parent, I would want to know this information so that I could look at the facilities that were available and have more information to make a choice. Some of the daycare centers in Portales barely have the size of a desk outside. Makes me want to cry. Oh, look, there it is. Didn't have to look out in the book at all. Guideline 5. Individuals responsible for the well-being of preschoolers should be aware of the importance of physical activity and facilitate motor skills. So that's parents, teachers, caregivers, babysitters, right? I think that booklet should be mandatory reading for anyone who is having children, right? I doubt if pediatricians even know that booklet exists, right? That's the kind of thing that drives me nuts, because we know all this stuff and we all ought to be collaborating to help keep these children healthy and to help them learn the skills that they need to continue to be healthy. But people don't, there's no communication between all the different areas of child health. So we have to know why it's important, how to put it in place, how to manage it, how to measure it, right? Which is why our MSU and our TGMD are important, because I've got to know whether the children are getting better. Because if they're not getting better, it probably means I'm not giving them the opportunity to get better. Or maybe I put all the toys down and then what I do is this for the rest of the play session, and I just watch them to make sure they're okay, and I don't actually go and play. Right? That's not very good modeling. We have to show enthusiasm for moving if we want them to be enthusiastic for moving, right? I have to show enthusiasm for the content in my classes if I want to stand a chance of catching your attention and getting you to be interested in it, right? It works exactly the same way. So, can we facilitate learning? Can we provide an environment that if we allow them to explore, they will be learning from, right? We have to give them time. We've got to tell them good job, even if what they did was terrible. You still will go, oh, good job, right? There's a time for showing them how to do it properly. That's the modeling, right? But if they have a go, you've got to say, oh, well done, okay, let's do it again. Let's try and take a really big step this time. just some ideas of things you could do. So, unless you're working with high school kids who are almost adults, and even them it's going to depend on what their developmental trend is for their systems. But with anybody else, you've got to remember that the cardiovascular system is not fully developed. Their heart is not full size. Their lungs are not full size. Their bones haven't finished growing. Their muscles are not fully as strong as they could be yet, right? So they'll go out and they'll be active, but what you often see is these short bursts of absolute craziness, especially with the young kids. And then a few minutes of, so like they'll go to the running road and they'll go berserk for 3 minutes on the running road, and then they'll just wander over to the throwing station and pick up some beanbags and throw some beanbags, right? They can't keep up that manic cardiovascular activity for very long, okay? So you have to remember that, because if you set up activities where they're meant to be active for 25 minutes without stopping, that's not going to succeed, okay? Most kids enjoy moving. We're on to a winner if we get them young, right? Because I don't have to convince them that moving is fun, like I do with middle school kids and high school kids who won't take PE unless you break their arm, right? And we're going to look at an article next. The research on brain development tells us that gross motor skills, our fundamental, not our sports skill stuff, right? Remember that we're looking at fundamental levels of gross motor skills. Children should have acquired those to some level of competency before they leave for preschool. For kindergarten, sorry. Right? It's got to be fun. If you're going to work with Little League, make it fun. Make sure everybody gets a turn. Okay. Questions? All right, now we're going to see if I can. Where's my other article? Oh, it went back to this version today. It wasn't this version yesterday. And there's my article. I like this version better. Okay, can you guys see this article?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah? Okay, this article is up on Blackboard for you to read. All right? It's very easy reading. It was written for a teacher journal, teacher magazine, not for a heavy research journal. So the language is very easy to follow. And it's a brief description. It's a little bit old now, but we haven't changed our ideas from this point yet. Maybe they will, but not right now. So, it took a while. It took the equipment to get clever enough for us to look at what was happening in the brains of young children. So it's relatively new in that, 25 years or so. And what
what people who look at children's brains see is, firstly, the amount of crosstalk between different areas of the brain is phenomenal, right? And then another thing that they saw was that there are points in time where the brain can learn certain skills much better than it can learn them at a different time. And they call that a window of opportunity. Some resources will call it a critical period. I like the term window of opportunity. It's very positive and kind of, oh, okay, right? So for example, if I want to learn a second language, it's much easier for children up until the age of about 8 to learn a second language than it is for older children or adults, okay? So children who grow up in a bilingual household have such an advantage because they just automatically will get both languages if the parents use both languages in the house. I think it's really sad. You've got bilingual parents and they decide that they're only going to use one language in the house. That's a shame, because that throws away that opportunity for those children. Now, think about learning a second language, right? Just because I didn't learn a second language before I was 8 doesn't mean I can't learn a second language, right? So the idea of the window of opportunity is this is the optimal time for the brain to learn this skill, not the only time the brain can learn this skill, okay? When we look at motor skills, they saw a similar idea. It depends which type of motor skill you're looking at. So for fine motor skills, buttoning a shirt, signing a check, typing, all you guys clever fingering on your texting thing, right? Those fine motor skills have a window of opportunity up to about 9 or 10 years old. Okay? But when we look at gross motor skills, at jumping, at hopping, at running, at throwing, at catching, at striking, right? The window of opportunity closes between 5 and 6. Now remember, that's the optimal time to learn fundamental gross motor skills, not the only time to learn them, right? So it doesn't mean that I go to kindergarten and I can't learn to jump, or I'm in 2nd grade and I can't learn to hit a ball. But it's harder. And when it's harder, it's less fun, right? It's going to take me longer to be successful at it. And that takes more motivation to keep practicing, to keep trying. Right? If we could have them go to kindergarten with these pretty good fundamental motor skills, they could spend a year, right, really grooving those fundamental motor skills. Imagine what a 1st grade elementary PE teacher could do with these kids if they already could throw, could catch, could run, could jump. Okay. PE would be so much fun. So, read this through. Please make sure that you read this. It'll give you a little bit more information, but that's the research behind what I do, right? Is that we know that their brains are best able to learn these kinds of skills if we spend time showing them how to do them when they're 3, 4, and 5, right? And there are things we can do with 2-year-olds. I mean, I used to run a toddler motor skill intervention, And it's amazing what the toddlers can do if you give them the opportunity. You just have to be a little bit ready for more chaos on the playground with the 2-year-olds than you do with the preschoolers. Right? Questions? Thoughts? Well, if you think of anything and you want to share it, or if you have a question, jump into the discussion board, put something up there. Okay? Today's Friday, right? Yes. Okay, good. We made it through the week. Good. Okay, so on Monday.
Dr. Wall.
Yes, Kayla.
I meant to ask you earlier, did you ever find a link to the online resources we're supposed to use? Because I've been looking and I haven't been able to find one because I downloaded my textbook through Amazon Kindle.
Okay, and did you get a key code, an access code? Anywhere in that?
Oh, did I what? You cut out or for...
Sorry, did you get an
I didn't hear a whole sentence.
Okay, did you get an access code?
I did not.
So you may have to go to the publisher's website and buy a separate access code. See, I didn't know that it was available as a Kindle book because that's not advertised at the... Let me see if I can show...
So Dr. Wall, what would be the best way to buy it from online? Because we already with the code, to where we don't have to spend money on looking at the code.
Yeah.
I think the best is check.
Check.
Is good. Amazon would be good.
I still haven't bought mine, but you can on check. You have to buy like new. You can't buy used because usually they don't give you the code if it's used.
Yeah, and this book is new, so there probably aren't used books available yet. Because it's a new edition.
Is it available like for like an ebook or?
Not as far. Yeah, see, not as far as I'm aware, but
You can. I think we can buy ebook. I don't think they keep. I'll just do that. But I don't know if we get the code. You can buy it for like $85.
here we go. Let me have a look here. So you go to humankinetics.com. You would enter a key code there. If we want to see if I sign in, let me see. So you do have to create a login to Human Kinetics still. Why isn't it taking me to my books? Okay, hold on, I'll do it this way. If I go back here and put the book title in, try a different browser. So this is the older edition with the dad and his son playing soccer on the beach. You don't want that edition. Can you see this?
No, you still see the article on the screen.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me see if I can come back and... That would be because I haven't stopped sharing. Sorry. See if I can... So you don't want this edition with the pale blue cover and the soccer ball. You want this edition with the older gentleman and the young boy working out together. Bookstore. It would be under kinesiology in the bookstore. Motor behavior. And we want motor development. Okay. So the ebook is $93 and it comes with the web study guide. So that will give you access to all the film clips and everything. The paperback, let's see if we can find what, I don't know how much the paperback is, let's see. This is the paperback, is 124. Loose leaf, I have no idea what that means. Loose leaf, whatever that is only 81, and it comes with the web study guide. So that looks like the best option.
Loose leaf is just paper. And
Yeah.
You put it in a binder.
Yeah, hopefully it's punched and you can put it straight into a binder.
That sounds good. Thank you for showing me how to do that because I was having a hard time finding it earlier.
Yeah, go to Human Kinetics bookstore and yeah, there. Now what you want to try and do, because I don't know how long it would take them to get that to you, what I'll do is I'll copy this ISBN and I'll put it into an email and then go to somewhere like Amazon or Czech that are going to do like a 2-day delivery for you and see if you can get it early next week. Because you don't want to get too far behind. We've already done something that it would help if you could look at the videos. Would that help?
Yes, I think so because I have the book itself. I just don't have the access code.
Okay. And I don't know, let's go back again and see whether they have the option to just buy the access code. Yes, $39.
That is much.
There we go.
So, Dr. Wall, the only reason why the online access code was to get the study guide.
Yes, but the study guide has access to all those film clips so that you can practice these ideas that we're doing about development and how skills change over time. You know, I'm not going to say this out loud, but you could always buy one access code between two of you. Share a login, right? You'd have to create a login to Human Kinetics. that you both are going to use. And then you could log in and access the web study guide and share one between you. Now, the only problem with that is only one of you can be logged in at a time, because human kinetics are shit hot on watching their logins. They will not tolerate two computers with the same login. So you gotta, if you do that, you've got to make sure that you're not both trying to access it at the same time. Okay? You know what I'll do? Rather than putting the ISBNs into, what I'll do is I'll go back to that bookstore page that has all of the options, and I'll put that link into an email so that you can get straight to that page.
That would be awesome, thank you.
Okay? All right, yeah, so I'll put this link here into an email, and you should be able to get to this page. Then you've got the option of an ebook, a paperback, a loose leaf, or just the web study guide. Okay?
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
All right, try to get on that as soon as you can, because you know it doesn't take long before the exams start rolling around, and you don't want to be too far behind on the reading when you get to studying for the exam. Okay?
All right.
Excellent. Okay, guys, have a lovely weekend. I will see you
Great.
Monday.